thing I wanted to just talk about briefly is E-rate and then our requirement to provide internet safety, computing safety education to our kids. So I talked about E-rate, I think last year. I don't know that I talked about it a whole lot this year, so just in case we have new folks here. Every month we pay your cell phone bill. On your cell phone bill you'll see a federal excise tax and like most taxes, it's something we want to pay, but as educators, this one's actually a good thing because all that money goes into a pot of money at the federal level. It gets redistributed back out to schools and to libraries for primarily for internet connection. That's the number one thing that it provides. So in our district, what it provides is it provides, first of all, our internet connection out to the rest of the world through internet. And right now that's provided through the IEN, through the Idaho Education Network. And basically what they've done is they've said, just sign off on this agreement that we can speak for you for E-rate funding and we'll provide an internet connection for you. And they really do it at a much cheaper rate than we could probably get that same connection out ourselves. But again, that's really the connection that goes from none of your schools connect directly to the internet. All of your schools connect back to the tech center and then from the tech center out to the internet. So that's one way that we get E-rate funding. The second way is that connection that connects all of our schools together, our fiber optic network. We lease that from, currently we lease that from Cable One, and we get about 70% of the cost of that paid for through E-rate. So right now that's about a $120,000 per year bill for us to have that fiber optic network, and we pay 30% of that, so we pay about $35,000 per year for that. And then it also provides for our telecommunications, which is basically just our phone lines out. They don't really help anything internally inside of our network. Some school districts, if you have a high pre-introduced rate, you can actually get internal connections provided for us, like our networks inside of our school or our phones inside of our school. But our pre-introduced rate isn't high enough to qualify us for that, so we just get those external connections out. And I guess just as a side note, I'll talk about this probably more in a month, but we had a 5-year agreement with Cable One that ends this year, and so we've been in the process of putting that out to bid again. We had 4 different companies respond back and were interested in providing that network for us, I presented that to the board next Wednesday, so I really don't want to talk about it here ahead of when I talk to the board about it in case they have concerns about what the plan is. But we've got a plan together. The nice thing is that the overall cost is going to be about the same as we paid for the last 5 years if the board accepts our plan, with the difference being we'll have a 10 gigabit connection between Hillcrest and Sand Creek in the district office, and then the schools will have a 1 gigabit connection into a central center, but then that'll be a 10 gigabit connection from there. So our speed is going to be, overall capacity is going to be over, compared to where we were last year, it's going to be 30 times the capacity we had last year with our network. And so it'll be a huge step forward for us if everything comes together on that. The trade-off, or one of the stipulations that we agreed to when we accept that E-rate funding, is that we will provide internet safety. There's really 2 big ones. The first one is we'll provide a filter for our students. And so again, as we get into this issue with what websites do we filter and what don't we filter, and this is all in that internet safety presentation. The number one concern on the filter is protecting our students from inappropriate content, which, as you know, is just pervasive on the internet. And so we had just a good example that happened in the last month. We had a concern come to us from parents at one of our schools about Pinterest being unblocked. And so I did my due diligence, went in and searched for some pornography on Pinterest, and found, while they weren't explicit, there were definitely images there that I didn't feel were appropriate for our students. And borderline nudity. And if I would have searched a little bit more explicitly than I was comfortable, I'm sure I probably could have found explicit pornography. So we went ahead and blocked Pinterest. Immediately we had some teachers come back and say, why did you block Pinterest? Because I'm sure that there's some good educational use for Pinterest. But again, if it's open, then it's going to be open for kids, and that's really our first line of defense with that. So we went ahead and put it into the override category. So again, teachers can override the filter, which is actually my bullet there, something that Scott's forgetting about right now. That's what it is the override filter. So teachers can override the filter, still get to Pinterest, but we really need to block it for students. And then that other part with blocking for students is I just want to make sure that as we give teachers the ability to override the filter, they're not doing it with their bright lights on. And that's probably the thing that gives me the most heartburn as a teacher. Says, I want to show this YouTube video, goes in and overrides it. You show YouTube, and then boom, we're either popping up with F words in the commentary, or those suggested, if not explicit, images from the related videos on the site, which just come up all the time if you're in YouTube. So, okay, so that's the first thing. We have to provide the filter and monitor our students' activity when it comes to that filter. So that's one thing we agreed to when we accept that $70,000 from the government. Then the second thing is that we will provide internet safety training to our students. And this has been a point of failure. It's just something we really haven't ever figured out a good, effective way to deliver that. This year we took a good step forward with 9th grade. We created a digital citizenship class, not necessarily to address this or explicitly to address this, is more to address the online requirement. But Cliff Waite has done a great job of developing a curriculum for our 9th grade students when it comes to internet safety, digital citizenship, the whole gamut. He's done that in collaboration with teachers at Hillcrest and Bongos. So we've at least taken a step in the right direction, but we really need to get this down into our other schools as well. And so a couple of items. I thought she was going to be here, so I must be.
She is. She went to, that's the phone call I got.
Oh.
That was Eric. She went to 91.
Oh, she went to 91.
It took her a few minutes to figure out that she's supposed to be
Okay.
here.
So
she's
on
the way.
So we'll just flip things around a little bit. The Carrick Turner is with McAfee, and they have developed some type of presentation. I haven't seen it myself, but I think they've done it. Anybody know what schools they've done it at Hillcrest? They did it at Hillcrest.
Yeah.
No, Hillcrest Reps.
There's been some elementary schools that
Okay, and so that could be a simple way, or at least a start for us, is looking at a program that we're not putting in extra time on teachers. That, by the way, you have to start teaching this, but a good resource we can use. And so she'll come and present whatever they can offer. At Hillcrest, they did it as an assembly. And so I'm going to go ahead and let Cliff come up and talk a little bit about some resources that he's found as well that are pretty simple, easy to use resources that would be available for any teacher. So again, if you have a few minutes, I probably need to phrase that a little stronger. Next year, we really need to look at incorporating this into our elementary curriculum. And I know that squeeze is always time, but really, if we can look at it as having students read some nonfiction materials, we can teach both the reading skills as well as get that information to them that they need to know about internet safety. So, Cliff, you want to show them common sense media and anything else you want to take into?
Yeah, so probably the best resource I found is a website that's completely free, unless you want to order the flash drive from them. And it's just commonsensemedia.org. And this site is really good. It's got absolutely.
You can just hit that orange arrow and collapse that.
Okay. It's got pre-made lessons that teachers can give to students for pretty much every grade. So Common Sense, I'm not sure where they get their funding, but it's, like I said, it's completely free, and you can order everything on a flash drive if you want. They also have a lot of, besides just resources for teachers, they have a lot of resources for parents, so it'd be something that if you have parents that are looking for information on what they can do, it's got movie reviews that aren't just PG-13, but actually breaks it down into to age, what age that they find it's appropriate for. So you can come in and see, like, Warm Bodies, they feel it's appropriate for, they've got this sliding scale that they feel it's appropriate for, as far as up to 14 on here. It'll give you your language ratings, so it breaks it down even a little bit more. So if parents are particularly sensitive to issues like sex or violence, they can come in here and get some of those reviews. So that's probably one way you can use it, but us as educators, probably the first thing we're going to want to look at. So if you go here to educators, they actually have this K-12 curriculum that you can click on, and it breaks it down completely by grade level. So if we look at, if we wanted to find some lessons for K through 12 or 3 through 5, we can find those in there. In the scope and sequence, it breaks it down by grade level, plus it categorizes it, whether it's internet safety, privacy, security, information literacy, cyberbullying, relationships. It breaks it down on there. So the K through 2 lessons just start out, they're just really basic about keeping it private, how students can stay safe online, and then it gets a little bit more in depth as they get older. I pretty much cover all the grade 9 through 12 curriculum in my digital citizenship classes. I've taken a lot of these lessons and adapted them for online. They're really designed to be used in class, but with just a little bit of adaptation, I've been able to put them online. But the lessons are easy delivery. Find out what topic you want to do it on, and you click on it. They'll have videos sometimes. This one has a video about called My Online Neighborhood that you can show to students. And then it's got all your prompts as far as what you'd use for a warm-up, different question prompts, and you can even download the lesson materials on here. Sometimes it'll have a worksheet for students to do. It does have you sign in, but it's easy to sign up.
And really when you sign up, it just sends like a weekly newsletter. I don't know if it's weekly, but just a periodic newsletter that gives you some tips and information, those kind of things. So they're not heavy on the spam.
Yeah, like I said, they're as far as I know, they're completely nonprofit. So yeah, they're not going to try and sell you anything or anything like that. But this will give you, all your objectives, line up the lesson, give you questions to ask, give you activities for students to do. So it's got a little worksheet here that even, first and second graders could do. They could draw a picture of what website they like to go to online, Barbie.com or whatever. So this is kind of what we'd really like to encourage is just, if a teacher did one lesson a month on internet safety that they picked out of here, and we could even divide it more by grade, if the kindergarten teachers.
We pull up the 6th through 8th one just so we can see
Yeah.
some different levels there.
Let's see. So that kind of divides it into 3 units. So yeah, if we just taught, let's see, go down to, a unit per grade even. So it'd just be something that, 5 times a year you pull out one of your lessons, or you could have a week about digital citizenship in those grades. And that way, those are kind of ideas and feedback that we're open to doing as far as how we want to do this. But it's something that we need to get done for our compliance. Anybody have any questions about that? Or
Any feedback on it?
yeah, it's really very, very little work for teachers to be able to pull out one of those lessons and just go through it in the class period.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Cliff.
Yeah.
You can't think that it just doesn't happen around here, because I know my husband, they had a thing, I think it was one of his, the ladies that's in security out to the side, had a daughter that skipped school one day, and I guess she's been talking to somebody on Facebook that she thought was some guy that wanted her and her friend to come with them to California. The girls made it to St. George before somebody, So it happens. We've got to take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, there's those situations. Look at the high school ones. It talks about cyberbullying, something that we are dealing with more and more frequently as kids are perpetuating the same behaviors online that they do at school. Sexting in relationships. That was a fun one I got to deal with at Hillcrest on more than one occasion. So it is a reality, and it's something that I think it's interesting because our kids live in this world where there's really no separation between their physical lives and their virtual lives, but we don't always teach them how to be good citizens or appropriate behavior or the dangers of that virtual life. So definitely something that I think should be a responsibility in addition to the E-rate requirement, just as a part of educating kids to live in the world they live in. It's a good thing to take on. So,
Every school needs to set one of these up.
So I guess we need to start doing something. I guess I'd like to hear back, now that we've kind of introduced that we have this need, especially as we're looking at next year, hear back from you on what do we think the right way that we can address this is. Is it through assemblies? Is it through providing lesson plans?
Like each of our classes, our school has over to assemble 4 different assemblies,
Oh, we did 4 different assemblies.
3 or 4,
Okay.
according to grade level.
Okay. Excellent. So you just brought in kind of grade level and sort of assemblies.
Yeah, first kind of aiding program.
Yeah. I really think what we want to is just know, as a school, here's a responsibility we have, and so what do you feel the best way to address that at your school is? And I think lots of different options are available there. So, okay.